Welcome back to another episode of the Be the CEO of Your Life and Business podcast. Well, folks, the summer months are upon us officially.
Yep.
I was filling out my agenda for the month of June because I still am that nerd that carries around a paper agenda that I have to fill out.
I love it.
Even though I had all of these dates in a shared calendar with my husband online, and I still need to put it on a piece of paper. And I filled out this calendar this week in all of our different color, because of course I color code it. Things for my husband, things for me, things for our daughter, all the birthday parties, everything. And there's literally the littlest bit of blank space. I think I have something going on every single day in the month of June.
Yeah.
For one way or the other. Probably a lot of like really fun stuff, but then due to like the organizations that I'm on and the committee work that I do, there's a lot that I'm going to be obligated to attend. And so I'm looking at it with a lot of trepidation. And I think that that is why talking about this topic today about how to transition to the summer months is going to be very therapeutic for me in a sense. And I know it's going to be the same for Laura because Laura's kids' schedules are not slowing down anytime soon. Neither is her schedule, neither is the firm. So we have a lot just, I think, happening and boiling right now. The summer months can always prove to be very difficult because our kids are now out of their school routine. So I know at least for my one, I'm going to be sending her to camp. I know, Laura, you're sending Kaylee to camp.
Yeah.
But, the boys aren't going to camp.
Nope.
And Joseph will still be in daycare, but it's a new schedule and it's a new routine. And we are talking about this at the beginning of June because this is how soon, if not earlier, we have been thinking about how do you make this transition into the summer months? How do you get yourself prepared mentally and literally and practically for the change into the summer months?
And it's funny because I've seen this topic around on Instagram and Facebook in the context of women that we know that run network marketing businesses and how to transition from the school year with your kids being in school all day to the summer months when it can be a little bit more chaotic to run your network marketing business because you're not in an office, right? You're working from home and trying to juggle all those things. And I started thinking of, it's not just network marketing. Like if you own a network marketing business, like it's anybody, because if you have kids that are now going to be off for the summer, and for us, like for some people, baseball is done, but not for us.
Not for the Katina household.
Now, I just realized this week, we have tournaments every weekend in June. And so after Little League, the regular season is done, they start the all-star tournaments, and Christopher and Kaylee will both be on all-star teams. And so I'm basically not going to see my husband for like 2 months. I'm away we're away with the kids every weekend. This weekend is just Matthew and I for a tournament. But, I was just thinking of how do I wrap my head around the upcoming months, because it's just going to be, look, every season is crazy, right? But this, for whatever reason, this summer is going to be extraordinarily insane.
Yeah.
And so for me, it really is more about getting into a headspace where I can handle it. Because even like I was driving to a closing today and Matthew was texting me that he didn't feel well. And he feels like he's going to pass out and all these things going on. And I'm driving to a closing. So I'm like texting him through Siri.
Right.
And, texting him back and forth, trying to drive to this closing, thinking about what I'm going to be walking into when I get to the closing, thinking about him not feeling well. Does he need to come home from school? Is Mike home to pick him up? Like all these things. And in my head, I'm like, this is going to be my whole summer.
Yeah.
Them home texting me. They want to go here. They want to go there. They have this going on. And not only are we managing all of the sports, but we have a job, like we have a business to run.
We have a business to run. Yep. Just a little thing we're doing.
And so it becomes even more important during these crazy time periods to really, like, I love your agenda idea, like I have a paper planner also that I keep on my desk and that I take home with me on the weekends to really prepare for the upcoming week and look at what do we have going on?
Yeah.
When can I cook? When can I not cook? if I can't cook, what am I going to order for dinner? Like all
Mhm.
of these different things. When is the laundry getting done? Because we have 17 uniforms that need to be cleaned every day. Like all of these things that you really need to plan out like to the minute.
Mhm.
Because at least for me, if I don't, I will lose my mind.
And what, you just said something about the laundry, and I feel like
It's my biggest pet peeve.
I know if Laura doesn't talk about her laundry, then something's happening, right? Um, Truthfully though, when you get down to it, all of this can be attacked by taking it like one bite at a time. And I think that that's where a transition of any kind can feel super overwhelming, because you try to think that you need to figure it all out right away. Like, and then you put a plan into place, that plan keeps on moving along, then something gets interrupted. There's an emergency that pops up, then your plan gets derailed, and then you're in the spiral of like, nothing's going to work. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to recover from this. And it's like, all right. So, given the experience that the two of us have had over summers and different crazy seasons, and of course, this little tiny thing of like a law firm that we're running at the same time, um, it's important to remember that you need to remain intentional with the time that you have, and you need to also take things one thing at a time. So, for the laundry example, it made me think of an author that I used to read her books, actually Emily Lay, the one that does the Simplified Planner.
That's the planner I use.
That's the planner you use. And I had this tip from, I think, one of her first books that she came out with, was to throw a load of laundry in every single day. Now, no matter how small it is,
I do that. Yep.
every single day, do one load of laundry. Okay. And that's such a small tip, but it could be anything that you apply that to, right?
Yep.
Could be taking, for example, the day ahead as to where's everybody going to be? What kind of meals do you have to prepare? When is it that you carve out an hour or two to just meal prep some stuff for yourself so that you're off the table? Now you can focus your energy on everybody else. And then, of course, when it comes to running your business and being in the office and having these eventual interruptions, you have to prepare for those in the best way that you can.
And this summer is going to be different for us, because if you remember, last summer, we were really still working from home.
Yeah.
So this summer will be different in that our business has transitioned so much over the last year that we are in the office now.
Yeah.
And so we are no longer working from home. We have employees that work for us that are here. And so it's harder for me to be at home than it is to be here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to need to get myself in the mindset that, yes, it's summer, and yes, the kids are home and not school, but I'm in the office.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to figure out like how that's going to work, because obviously it's not just my schedule. I have to take into account Mike has a job.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out, what is going to work for him. But for me, Kaylee will be in camp all day, so that's no big deal. But the boys will be home.
Yeah.
And Mike will be running them all over the place to different baseball tournaments for the next 2 months. But that's going to be a bit of a change too, because we're not at home.
No.
It's
going to be but that's like a different kind. Again, it's a different kind of problem that you have almost every single year, right? Because when the kids were all in camp, you were like, okay, getting them all to camp. Great. Yep. See you later. And of course that comes with a change in a routine and a schedule. And I remember this because when we were at our old office, Laura was there, I think at like 7:30 in the morning. Like She dropped the kids off. She raced to the office. She was in the seat, enjoying a cup of coffee and getting ready for the day. Then when camp came around, it was like Laura was walking in at 9 o'clock and she was like, this feels like half my day is gone. It's such an adjustment, because there's nothing like the peace and quiet between that 7:30, 8 o'clock hour until 9 a.m. when the rest of the world starts to wake up. So I get it. That is like a whole big chunk of peace that gets taken away from you.
Even now, normally I get Matthew on the bus at 8:25 or so. And then, I live 30 seconds from the office. So then by 8:30, I'm usually at my desk.
Right.
And now it's going to be a little bit later than that, because I have to drop Kaylee off at 8:30 at camp. Not a huge deal. It's totally mental.
Right.
But it's going to be a little bit of a shift.
It's an adjustment.
I do get to sleep an extra hour over the summer.
See, and this
which is phenomenal.
This is the point I was going to make, right? Is that you can now adjust that time to work for you.
Right.
Right. You can still continue to get up at the same time that you've been getting up and now take a chunk of time and do work from home now that
Yeah.
your computer's working, if you listen to
Yes.
last week's episode. But you know what I mean? Like there are ways and perspectives, I guess, to look at it. So that's the other takeaway that I think we can leave you with is when you're transitioning to the summer months, yes, change is difficult for some people, probably more difficult for us because we're so regimented.
Yeah.
But there's always a silver lining that you can search for, like you can rearrange a little bit and have that quiet time and sit at your desk in the morning, maybe organize your day. Even if that's the only thing you do is just organize and time block out what the day is going to look like so that you can still be really present for the moments that you're with the kids or that you're, you know, in your job and knowing that your hours might be adjusted slightly. It's all about setting yourself up so that you are not stressed out in the moments because they're changing and they're different. And you can really be present and still make that time the most intentional. Does that make sense?
This is a huge work in progress for me because
Yeah.
like
I
it is
know.
very, very, very hard for me to detach from work.
Mhm.
And so I have been really trying to work on, and as I said to Mike the other day, I'm like, I want to stay at the office a little bit later so that when I come home, I don't have to go back into my office
Right.
at home.
Right.
So, and when I say stay at the office, I mean, like yesterday, I walked in at like 5:05 and the kids were like, why are you home so late? And I'm like, guys, I was at my office, 5 o'clock, like when I was younger, like working in my 20s, that was like lunchtime.
Right.
So it's just so funny how things have changed and even my perspective about it over the years. But it's been really important for me to try and be more present,
Yeah.
right? So
that was one of your words for the year, wasn't
Yes.
it? Yes.
So the summertime gives me a little bit more of an opportunity to do that. Because I'm not like racing the kids out of the house in the morning. I'm not getting them up, rushing them to eat and get ready.
Right.
And so I can take a little bit more time to eat breakfast with them
Mhm.
or just sit with them for a little bit before I go to work.
Right.
So I'm trying to focus on, because I hate transition so much, I'm trying to focus on the things that are positive about it. Because there are some things like I get to wake up at 6 instead of 5,
Right.
which is huge for me. People think
Yes.
I'm insane, but big part of me keeping my life together is continuing with my morning routine.
Mhm.
And whether I started at 5 or I started at 6, I will do it.
Yeah.
So that will not change. It's just a matter of shifting the time.
That's something that I have come to realize too, is that having that time in the morning, at least for me, that's when it's best. I feel like I really can catapult my day if it starts off on the right note. And by being able to slice that little bit of time to myself, it just honestly, it's like day changing. I won't say life changing. It is day changing for me. And this morning in particular, Joseph got up early. I heard him. He ran into Olivia's room. And I normally let him just like chill because sometimes he'll even crawl next to her and like curl up and just like snuggle.
So
It's
cute.
so cute, even though she's a monster because then she wakes up and she's tired. But I just know that interruption in my morning routine will be a change for me, that it's tough to just pull back that piece and that sliver of time. So what I've tried to do is just try to intentionally make sure that I'm waking up with enough time to get my entire routine done before the kids are even stirring,
Right.
because it just preserves that bit of peace to be able to get myself together, protect the energy that I have, and do something for myself, because I know the day is normally assigned to somebody else for the entire day.
Yeah. And this is not, by the way, something that's just applicable to moms.
No.
So I was this morning, my 2 younger ones who are still in elementary school had field day. And I went this morning for a little bit, and I was talking to one of the dads that I know who's an attorney in the county, and he runs his own practice. And he was there just like I was, rearranging his day.
Mhm.
And, we were talking about just the chaos of like running a practice. He has 3 kids, just like I do. His are a little bit older. But it's chaotic. And so whether you're a mom or a dad, or even if you don't have kids, like when you have transitions like this, you have to be intentional, not just about your time, but about how you're spending your energy.
Mhm.
Like I write that in my journal every morning, like one of my intentions for the day. is to be intentional about how I use my energy.
I love that.
And mental and physical, right? So our job is not physically demanding, obviously, but it's mentally demanding and challenging, which can make you physically tired. So I have to be intentional about, sometimes I'll put music on in my office because I know it calms me down a little bit, or just taking a minute to like take a breath, or, making sure that even if I'm eating lunch at my desk, I'm not looking at my computer. I'm actually eating my food and focusing on eating my food. So no matter what situation you're in, it's so important to, be intentional about how you're using your time and your energy, especially when you're going through a transition in a season like this.
Yeah, because taking away your presence in the moment is probably the most stressful thing that you can do for yourself. Because if your attention is being pulled, like you're carving out that time for a reason. You're supposed to be working on whatever the task is, or you're supposed to be spending that time because you've scheduled it to be your time, whether it be a morning routine, an evening routine, a lunchtime routine, whatever it is, just be there, right? Like just be in that moment, as opposed to trying to race through it or be distracted by the next thing that you have to do. It's almost like you're just never going to catch up with yourself if you do that. And I'm guilty of it too. I do it all the time. It's really, really hard to stop yourself. But like the times that I notice it the most, it's the mornings when I'm reading my personal development and I read through like 3 paragraphs and I have no idea what I just read.
Happens to me every day of the week.
Right. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, all right, Amy, just focus. Like, look at what you've got going on. Like, go back to what it is, as opposed to letting the chaos of your days just spiral you out of control. And for me, I'm going into a brand new season. This is a brand new thing for me to be bringing Olivia to camp over the summer. I don't know anything about like what she's going to be doing all day. I don't understand what the structure will look like. And I really hope that she likes it. Like that's the other thing that I'm nervous about. So for me, I know that my attention is going to be pulled towards like, okay, what's going on? How is she doing? Is everything okay? Like I'm going to be, worried and thinking about that for at least a little bit. But likening it to like when I came back to the office after having Olivia, the first couple of days, I just kept on thinking about her all the time. And then the next few days, I was like, let me just throw myself into work. Let me just focus on where I am right at this moment. And it made all that worry and stress just melt away and really disappear, because I'm not allowing my focus and my energy to be put towards the stress, the worry, the overwhelm, the, oh my God, this is something different. Oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle it? Trust and believe that you will be able to tackle it and that you will be able to get through it. And it might feel a little clunky at first, but I think it'll be smooth sailing.
Just be super intentional about your time and how you spend your energy. So for all you moms and dads out there who understand what this struggle is like, it's hard. It's really hard. But it is manageable. You just have to be, intentional about how you're managing it, really. One point I want to make before we wrap things up today is Monday is our 2-year anniversary of this podcast.
Amazing.
And I can't believe that. I mean, think about how many transitions we've been through since we started the podcast, right? So it's been 2 years and we've been through a ton of transitions. When we started this podcast, I don't even think Dawn was with us full time.
Nope.
Right? So since then, we've added 3 employees. We're in the office all the time. We're managing being in the office, having kids at home, and all the things that come with that. But we really enjoy being able to come here every week and talk about these topics. It's really therapeutic for us.
So I told you it was going to be therapy today.
It's really therapeutic. So we appreciate all of our listeners and supporters because you've been with us for 2 years and you continue to support our podcast and let us vent.
Every week.
And try to give some tips.
Work through our problems that are so real and happening in real time, which we love because like we always say, I think that the experience that we have and being able to bring it to the podcast on a weekly basis and talk about the issues as we're going through with them, makes it so much more vulnerable for us, but also makes it more realistic to you as a listener, because you're then riding along with us on the journey. You're not just seeing us, you know, at the finish line, giving you the tips and tricks
Right.
of how to make it through. Like we're probably going to fail at this transition in some way, shape, or form. And it's
Yep.
going to look a little ugly at times, but you know, we are using these tips just as we hope you are to help make the transition just a little bit easier for you.
Yes. So as always, we thank you for spending time with us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.